Well, we were before we left. This was earlier, before the White House incident. We were at Groton, stationed at Groton, Connecticut, and so they took. We flew 18 airplanes over to Quonset Point, Rhode Island, and there was a Jeep carrier there waiting for us. So they folded them up, hoisted 18 of them on deck of this little carrier.
F-6s?
F-6s. Yeah.
Was this would have been before or after the incident we talked about?
That'd be before.
Okay.
And anyway, we were supposed to qualify for night landings, and on the Jeep carrier we were supposed to do some day landings and then some night landings. I don't know, I think 4 daytime and 2 at night or something like that. So we got on that little carrier late one night, took out from Quonset Point into the North Atlantic and to do these qualifications. And it was so rough. All the ship's crew was sick. Most of our people were sick. It was rough. It was
getting out there, even.
Just getting out there. So anyway, we steamed all night till it got light in the morning, and we were supposed to do all these maneuvers.
So you left nighttime or left evening time, or?
Yeah. It was time we got everybody on board and all the planes on board while it was dark. So we took out from Quonset Point, and first after that night, daylight came. They said, first thing we got to do, we got a sub out here somewhere. We got to find German sub. So they gave us grids to fly, and we spent I think 2 days in that area looking for this sub. Well, it's pretty hard to find, and when the swells were breaking and it was snowing and it was a mess out there. We never found a sub, obviously.
When you did something like that, how long were you airborne typically? How long a mission was that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really know. Don't remember.
Take off and go fly your grids for a while, and
yeah.
Everybody come back to the carrier.
Yeah, all of our planes weren't out. Matter of fact, all the 18 weren't out. I don't think. Yeah. It was kind of hard to maneuver 18 airplanes on that little carrier.
Sure.
This little Jeep carriers are made from what Kaiser had made a bunch of tankers, and they got more tankers than they needed, and they said, well, let's put some decks on these and we'll use them for little carriers, and they call them Jeep carriers. And they were just a little compact carrier, and I don't know how many planes they held, but they had a side elevator and all that stuff. Everything worked. But out there, we had 4 little directional lights, and that was our runway on the edges of the carrier. And when you come in at night, you got to get lined up or you can't even find them, you know.
So just like edge lights on a carrier or something, that if you line those up, you realize you're lined up with a carrier kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's all the lights there were. The carrier was black, everything was black. Plus, the swells were so high, when we were out there, it was stormy as the dickens. And the carrier would go down in the, what do you call that, between the swells. You're not a Navy man. That's right. Anyway, so the carrier would go down there, and here you were up here yet, and you had to be really careful to not take a cut if you knew you were too high. You just drop the thing in for 50, 60 feet, and that wasn't too good either. And that's what happened to a lot of our airplanes. But anyway, either that or else, if the carrier was on top of a swell, then it'd come up to meet you. You know, they were that rough.
And just because of the size, or just because the seas were so rough?
Because of the roughness, yeah. Normally, that was a piece of cake, you know. If the carrier were sitting there and you just went in and...
Calmer waters.
Yeah, went in and landed. But anyway, when we did our day qualifications, and when night came, this was in a matter of a whole week. to get everybody qualified. And some of the guys called back to their wives and said, well, we got so many airplanes left now. We still got to qualify so many people. And we only got so many left and all that stuff. Well, what would happen if they would bounce on the little carrier, they'd miss the cables, go into the barrier and get the prop. At least get the prop. That was the worst part. Or they'd drop so far they'd blow the tires and blow the wheels. The aluminum wheels would just go flying everywhere. So anyway, out of the 18, we ended up with 3 that flew home, and the rest of them were pieces down in the hangar deck. And one guy came in and took a wave off, got both wingtips, one on the deck and one on the island. Took both wingtips. There was about a 12-inch piece on the end. He took both of those off, and they had him make a couple passes. Said, "You're not going to land on here now." So they
sent. He did that and kept it airborne, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He just caught the tips, trying to take a wave off inside instead of going around the island, which was a no-no normally. And so they sent him. I remember that they sent him to Bangor, Maine, where there was a Navy station. And they said they wouldn't let him land anymore. So anyway, when we got all done, we had three of them left to fly. They sent a couple torpedo bombers out there to pick up the pilots, take them home. Didn't have anything left to fly. But I don't know who else qualified behind us.
So you guys all got qualified, or your group?
Yeah, they if we didn't, they just gave up. You know, but we all had experienced some daytime, and see, that was our first carrier landings, except for Great Lakes, where they had a little excursion boat they'd put a deck on. We had to qualify on that.
Was that the F-6 too, or was that something else?
That was the F-6.
F-6.
And you go in the hangar and see all these F-6s in there with all the brand new rivets back toward the tail where they'd pulled the tails off and messed them up.
So you didn't have to carrier qual in the F-4?
In the F-4? No.
Oh, okay. So you didn't do any carrier qualification until you got to the F-6.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. They were they were Sabato wary, and they weren't very stable anyway. So we went just before Mommy and I were married. You probably heard that story. They made their invitations with a blank for the date.
No, I've never heard that story.
Well, we were winding up at, let's see, where were we? We took a train to Chicago. That was it. From Florida, I guess. Anyway, but they couldn't be married till you got your wings. And then when you got your wings, then you could get married. So they set that up but they didn't know when I was going to get finished. So we went to Great Lakes. They had this one excursion boat out there, and everybody had to qualify and do so many landings on it, like 5 or something, which was no big deal. But the whole place was fogged in for about 10 days. Well, that wasn't too whoopee for the wedding date. So when we finally got qualified, I called home, and then they got the invitations out right quick. But anyway.
So you got some time off after you got your wings? Is that what you mean? You had some. They didn't want to interrupt your training until you do something like that till you got your wings and you got finished.
Yeah. Well, we had to qualify on a carrier somewhere, and ours was at Great Lakes.
Where's that? Michigan? Lake Michigan? Oh, Chicago area?
Great Lakes is Glenview. Glenview, Illinois. Yeah. So we did that. Then then we got married, and Mommy was with me then when our first station was at Norfolk. And while they were forming this squadron, we had a little room actually on the 3rd floor of a big old mansion. And it must have taken 2 or 3 weeks before they got all our people together for the air group. Then we went to Atlantic City from there and started flying as an air group. But we had the Corsairs. They were a beautiful flying airplane, but nobody liked them. All the pilots, actually some of them were afraid of them. But, boy, you could slow roll that thing forever, you know. Take a long time to slow roll it. It was beautiful feeling airplane, but we had to get 10 hours and everything on a, no, we had to get 10 hours in the Corsair. We didn't have anything to do with the bomber.
Oh, okay. So how did you get, was this the way the assignments worked to get sent to the F-6 instead of the Corsair?
Actually, you didn't have any choice.
That's what I mean. It's just how you got assigned.
Yeah.
So everybody went from basically the Wildcat to either the Corsair or the Hellcat.
Yeah. Yeah. Our Hellcat, our Wildcat training was basically in Florida. The Navy had about 4 or 5 air stations along the east coast of Florida. And we were at Sanford, Florida. There was another 30 miles. There was another one. I think Orlando had one. In fact, as a matter of fact, I went out on a gunnery hop from Sanford one day. My plane was burning up, so they said, you better head for Orlando. And here come all the fire trucks screaming behind me. I landed there.
In a Wildcat?
In a Wildcat, yeah.
Burning up meaning engine fire? Or?
Overheated. It was smoke. It wasn't any flames, just bad smoke.
Huh.
And you never knew. It's like I say, they were, especially the Wildcats, they were really battle weary. They'd been out to the fleet, a lot of them. And that was no big deal, except they had, now that plane, I remember they loaded it on a trailer, took it back to Sanford. They didn't want it up at Orlando because that was their base was completely different. I mean, they were all chain up and down there.
So how, when you had an overheat like that, do you have indications other than just cylinder head temperatures or something? Or?
Well, you had smoke coming out of the cowling, you know.
Well, that's a clue, yeah.
That's a pretty good clue, yeah.
So you can see that from the cockpit.
Yeah. And you can see if you made a turn, you could see it.
Oh, sure. See behind you.
So anyway, I landed that thing there, and it was actually when I rolled to a stop, it was still smoke. It wasn't a flame. So it was no big deal. You kind of expected that with those planes. They were shot to start.
Fired,
yeah. And we lost several guys in those things there. They'd I don't know, one guy bailed out of one at Sanford, and parachuted out of it, and the thing made a turn, come back and hit him.
Oh,
that was terrible. Right over the base. But we had, they sent us up one day to go on oxygen at 10,000 feet. And they had a few planes that had oxygen that still worked. And you just grind and grind and grind and grind to get up there on those things.
Go up to 10,000?
To 10,000, yeah. And in those old FMs, they were FMs because General Motors made them.
Wildcat, what they call FM?
Well, they were F4F, but later down the road, General Motors built them.
Oh, I see.
That's so they call them FMs, some of the later models. But anyway.
So, I was going to ask you something about that. Oh, when you said you lost a lot of guys, was it mostly mechanicals or mechanical issues or?
Well, I said a lot. We lost. I can remember a couple at Sanford.
Yeah. Well, any is a lot, you know.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. They were basically mechanical failure on the plane. One time we were at down in Texas, out of Corpus Christi. That we had 3 bases outside there where they'd send us for 2 or 3 weeks to do certain maneuvers or to learn something special. We went out of Kingsville, actually. And anyway, we were supposed to check out in inverted stalls.
And this was in what airplane?
In a Yellow Peril.
Stearman?
Stearman, yeah. Well, I think they had 3 of them sitting there. And so everybody was supposed to do that before they left there. So they sent us out with a instructor. And he'd put that thing in an inverted spin and okay, pull her out, pull her out, pull her out. And my airplane had, seats would go up and down on a little ratchet of some kind. But when it got inverted, here the seat went clear to the end of the tubes, and I couldn't reach the pedals. And he said, pull her out, blankety blank, pull her out. I couldn't pull her out. He looked back apparently and saw what was going on. I was up there in the air, and so he had to pull her out. But anyway, got back to the ground, and there was a couple of guys supposed to be taking care of these Stearmans. And boy, he read them off for sure. He said, what if that seat would have sheared off the pins at the top? Said, I'd have lost my boy up there. He gave him fits.
So was it just a mechanical failure, or something was missing, or on the seat?
I don't really know. Something about the ratchet or something that didn't hold.
Now, you were flying Stearmans at the time. This is just...
No. We were flying, let's see, that would have been SNJs, I guess.
Oh, okay. So they just put you back in the Stearman for this?
Yeah, just for these inverted spins. Oh. And the guy says, the mechanic says, oh, no big deal, that plane does that all the time. And then the guy really let him have it.
No big deal to him.
Yeah, but it wasn't no big deal. He pulled it out and got us down, but he just laughed.
How you doing? Your voice okay?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
What I'd like to do, Dad, if it's okay, is kind of go back to the very beginning. And I'd like to have you kind of just trace for me, where you started and you went from here to here to here to here, your training bases and things like that, where you flew, what, and all that. But I guess let's go back to the very beginning and say, or ask, how did you end up in the Navy? I mean, why airplanes? How did you get from the farm to being a Navy pilot?
Okay. Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Well,
about 10 minutes, I'll have to flip it over here.
Okay. You remember Gene Gray?
Sure.
He was the head of the draft board. So I graduated from high school and I checked in with him one day and said, I was thinking about finding a college somewhere. Oh, he says, you just well forget that. He says, you're on the list so high up you wouldn't even get started in college. So there was 5 of us from Lyons, or from this area.
What year was this? I'm sorry, Dad.
Well, it would have been right after 39. That's when I graduated.
39.
It would have been, could have been in 40, but it's 39 or 40.
Okay.
And Kenny Y, and a kid from Frederick, a kid from Sterling. Anyway, there was 5 of us. Learned about this called V5 training to fly for the Navy. Well, it turned out that it was a brand new system. The program was just getting started, and so every base we went to, lots of them, we were the first ones there. We we signed up for that, and then waited, I don't know how many months we waited for them to call us. And then they called us to Liberty, Missouri for ground school. And so the 5 of us went together up there to Liberty, Missouri, to William Jewell College, and did, I think, 4 months of ground school with all the math and the navigation and all that stuff. We had a little steerman sitting out in front of the dorm where they brought in from somewhere. Motivation, yeah, it was pretty neat. The guys could go out there and take pictures with their girlfriends in front of that airplane. But anyway.
Well, before you, just for a second though, had you been interested in flying, or you guys just decided together you want to do this, or did you have an option, or?
Well, I always figured that I didn't want to be in the ground troops because the Navy's lots cleaner than that.
Well, I can understand that.
No, it just sounded good, and it was, you know, basically you could get an awful lot of education from the program.
Sure.
So I don't really know what pushed us into that, any of us, but one guy says, well, this sounds good, and we just all got together, 5 of us, and went up there. Well, we signed up in Hutchinson, actually, for earlier, but they called us to that. We did, I think, 3 months up there. Never saw an airplane except that steerman sitting out there. But we did learn a lot of math and a lot of navigation. And there was about 15 girls at the college, I think, and all the rest of them were cadets. They moved, pretty much cleaned the place out for us.
William Jewell.
William Jewell.
So this was like aviation subjects, obviously.
Yeah.
Math.
Yeah. We had a lot of navigation stuff with plotting board and stuff like that, and math, and we even learned Morse code. I remember that at that place. Then we went to Norfolk, Nebraska, clear out
Sure, yeah.
the far corner.
Norfolk? Yeah, that's not too far from us.
Let's see. No, I'm wrong. It's Chadron, Nebraska. Chadron.
Okay, Chadron is a long way.
Way up in the corner. They had a pretty decent airport that went up and down the sand dunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and it was all grass. But they had a bunch of Piper Cubs, and they had called in what was that called? Gosh, I lost it.
Taylorcraft or airplanes, you mean?
Yeah. No, it was bigger than a Taylorcraft. Veronica.
Oh, right.
Veronica Chief. Yeah. Remember that. So the chief pilot, he says, that's going to be my airplane. You're going to be my student.
When you say called in, you mean like a civilian?
They had just confiscated him, or whatever they call it, from the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the word either, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. Anyway, and I got in the middle of it because we got up there was 36 of us, I think. We got up to Chadron, and the guy who was going to be in charge of us was a lieutenant governor, had been the lieutenant governor of Nebraska. So they'd give him a commission, and he was going to be in charge of that group. But he was never there. But the first day he says, who's got an alarm clock? Nobody had an alarm clock. Well, I happen to have one. So I said, oh, I've got one. Okay, you're in charge. You're in charge, and he was never there. It was kind of.
So you're in charge of the other 36?
Yeah, some of them didn't like it very well.
So you guys were all brand new?
We had all came out of this program, V5 program, yeah.
Now this was pre-commissioning, right? You were just cadets.
Cadets.
Yeah. I didn't know how those programs worked.
Yeah, we were cadets for a long time.
So you were sort of the senior cadet.
I guess. Yeah. We had an old, you know what a one-ton little truck used to be with a platform on the back instead of a pickup box.
Sure.
Well, they'd fixed this all up and put benches on the side and varnished it all up. And that was our transportation to and from the airport. And it was 4 or 5 miles out there, and boy, it'd get cold. A little truck with no cover on it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You were living, what, they had a barrack situation?
We had this was another college deal.
Oh, was it?
It was a.
Well, there's a Shattern State College there now. So.
Yeah. It was a teacher's college originally.
So like dormitory situation.
We had a whole dorm for us. When we got there was 12 guys that had been there ahead of us, and they just did whatever they pleased. They had no supervisor or supervision. And so when we come in and this guy put me in charge, then things rolled for a while.
Yeah.
They didn't like it at all.
Younger guy in charge of the
But,
motor.
yeah.
So this is a brand new program at Shattern?
It was brand new everywhere we went.
Yeah. So they hadn't been doing this at Shattern before.
Except for these 12 guys. They just kind of got their feet wet. Yeah. And these guys had the dark flyers glasses and the whole bit, you know, and the scarves. They were hot shots. But anyway, then we did. I think we were supposed to get 45 hours in these things, in this flight training, and that's the only logbook I've got is from that.
Oh, really?
That's the only one I got from that. It was in connection with what was that program called? A civilian CPT, civilian pilot training. It was
civilian instructors.
Yeah, and it was funded by the government, but it was still called CPT. And
you were the cadet program worked. You were like enlisted. You're enlisted in the Navy as a cadet. Is that how that worked? Or
yeah.
So you belonged to the Navy, but it was
civilian
training.
Yeah. So we did that. My buddy, my Veronica chief pilot. He said he cut the throttle one day and he says, "Okay, find us a place to land." And I saw this cornfield down here, and he wrote that up like that was a sin. He didn't like it. He said this cadet wanted to land in a cornfield instead of in the grass. Well, the grass had never been plowed or anything, and it'd be a gully here and big breaks in it. You know, you could fall in those so easy. I thought. So I picked the cornfield, and the corn was, I think it was, I don't know what time of year it was, but anyway, the corn was down anyway. But so we finished